Have you ever felt completely lost? Like everything around you is falling apart, and you don't know which way to turn. What if I told you that this feeling isn't a mistake? It's a signal, a sign that a greater plan is quietly unfolding in your life. Right now, you might be standing at a crossroads, unsure which path to take. Every decision feels heavier, every step uncertain. But what if the confusion you feel is actually guiding you towards something bigger, something only you can experience? In this video, you're about to uncover 4 subtle signs that show even in your confusion you are not alone. These signs may seem ordinary, but they are the invisible nudges that lead you to clarity, purpose, and unseen opportunities. Stay with me, because what you're about to discover will make you see your struggles in a completely new way. What seems like being lost might just be your first step into a life you never imagined possible. Feeling lost is one of the most misunderstood experiences in life. Many people believe it means failure, weakness, or wrong decisions. In reality, it often happens when an old chapter is ending and a new one has not fully appeared yet. This space feels empty because familiar direction is gone. But absence of direction does not mean absence of purpose. During this phase, the mind looks for fast answers. It wants clear signs, loud signals, or instant reassurance. When those do not come, frustration grows. Yet this quiet stage forces reflection. It slows your pace. It pulls attention inward and helps you recognize what no longer fits your life. Many people only grow when they no longer feel certain. Confidence built only on comfort is fragile. Feeling lost strips away false stability and replaces it with awareness. You begin to notice patterns, habits, and choices that were once ignored. This awareness is the beginning of alignment. Instead of resisting this feeling, observing it calmly changes everything. When you stop running from confusion, clarity starts forming naturally. This is often how guidance works. It does not rush. It reshapes you first, then reveals direction later. Comfort can quietly limit progress. When everything feels predictable, growth often pauses without notice. Feeling lost usually arrives after comfort is removed. Routines change. Familiar support fades. What once felt stable suddenly feels uncertain. This discomfort is not random. When comfort disappears, attention sharpens. You begin asking deeper questions. Why am I here? Where am I going? What truly matters now? These questions were always there, but comfort kept them silent. Loss of ease gives them a voice. This stage teaches independence from external validation. When approval fades, self-awareness grows. You stop relying on constant reassurance from people or situations. Instead, you begin trusting your inner judgment more. This builds strength that comfort never could. Growth requires space. Comfort fills that space completely. Feeling lost clears it. In that empty space, new values, clearer priorities, and stronger direction slowly take shape. What feels uncomfortable now often becomes the foundation of future confidence. Confusion often signals transition rather than failure. It appears when old systems no longer support who you are becoming. This can affect career choices, relationships, or personal goals. What once felt right may now feel heavy or limiting. During transitions, clarity usually fades before it returns. The mind wants certainty, but change rarely offers it immediately. This uncertainty can feel unsettling, especially when progress seems delayed. Yet this pause allows adjustment at a deeper level. Transitions require letting go of outdated expectations. Holding on to old outcomes blocks new possibilities. Confusion forces flexibility. It teaches you to stay open rather than rigid. This openness creates room for better alignment. Instead of labeling confusion as weakness, recognizing it as movement shifts perspective. Something is changing beneath the surface. Direction is not lost. It is being recalibrated. This stage ends with stronger clarity than before. When old solutions stop working, frustration often follows. Methods that once brought results suddenly fail. Advice that once helped now feels empty. This does not mean you are doing something wrong. It means growth has outpaced old tools. This stage can feel isolating. Others may not understand why you feel stuck. They may offer simple fixes that no longer apply. This deepens the feeling of being lost, but it also pushes you to stop copying paths that are no longer yours. New levels require new thinking. Old answers cannot solve new challenges. This moment forces innovation, reflection, and patience. It invites you to build direction from understanding rather than habit. When new insight finally forms, it feels more stable than anything before. It fits your current self, not your past identity. What failed was not you. It was the method, and replacing it leads to stronger long-term clarity. Closed opportunities often feel like rejection at first. A door shuts, plans collapse, and expectations fall apart. The mind quickly labels this as failure. But many times closure happens because continuing would lead to deeper frustration later. What feels like loss can actually be redirection. When something ends suddenly, emotions rise fast. Disappointment, confusion, and self-doubt mix together. These emotions are natural. They show that effort was real. But emotions do not always tell the full story. They react to the moment, not the future outcome. Closure forces review. You replay choices. You examine signs you once ignored. This reflection reveals lessons that were hidden during motion. It helps you recognize patterns that were draining energy without producing growth. Awareness increases here. Over time, clarity replaces resistance. You begin seeing how that closed path limited progress. New options appear slowly, often in unexpected ways. What once felt blocked starts making sense. Direction returns, stronger and more stable than before.
Loss often sharpens perception. When everything is stable, attention stays shallow. But when stability breaks, awareness deepens. You notice small details, emotional shifts, and internal reactions more clearly. This heightened awareness is not accidental.
This sensitivity helps you understand what truly matters. Distractions lose power. Surface-level goals feel less important. You begin focusing on meaning, fulfillment, and long-term stability instead of short-term comfort. This shift changes decision-making. Many people mistake sensitivity for weakness. In reality, it is a sign of growth. Being aware means you are present. You recognize what drains you and what strengthens you. This awareness protects future choices. As sensitivity increases, clarity becomes easier to access. You trust your reactions more. You pause before decisions. This careful approach prevents repetition of old mistakes and guides you toward healthier paths. Silence can feel uncomfortable, especially when you are seeking direction. You expect answers to arrive quickly. When they don't, impatience grows. But silence often has purpose. It removes noise so clarity can form naturally. Constant feedback keeps people dependent. Silence builds independence. It forces you to sit with uncertainty instead of escaping it. This builds emotional resilience and internal strength. Growth happens quietly here. During silence, internal dialogue becomes clearer. You notice recurring thoughts. You recognize consistent concerns. Patterns emerge without outside influence. This self-awareness is essential for sustainable direction. When clarity finally returns, it feels grounded. It is not rushed or reactive. It feels steady. Silence prepared you to recognize real direction instead of temporary reassurance. Uncertainty about identity can be deeply uncomfortable. You may feel unsure of your role, value, or direction. Old labels no longer fit. This can feel like losing yourself, but identity shifts often signal growth. When previous roles fade, space opens for authenticity. You stop performing for approval. You question expectations that were placed on you. This creates freedom to redefine yourself based on truth rather than pressure. Identity rebuilding takes time. It requires patience and honesty. You experiment with new boundaries, interests, and values. Some fit, others don't. This trial process strengthens self-awareness. Once identity stabilizes, confidence becomes natural. It no longer depends on validation. It comes from alignment. Feeling lost during this stage was not a setback. It was necessary for personal clarity. Loss often humbles without harming. It removes false confidence built on outcomes rather than character. This can feel uncomfortable, but it strengthens inner stability. Humility clears vision. When pride fades, learning increases. You become open to feedback. You listen more carefully. You stop defending every choice. This openness accelerates growth and improves decision-making. Humility also deepens connection with others. You relate without comparison. You share without competition. This builds healthier relationships based on understanding rather than status. Through humility, strength becomes quieter but stronger. You no longer need to prove worth. You know it internally. This inner assurance supports long-term clarity and direction. Discomfort and chaos feel similar but are very different. Discomfort stretches you. Chaos overwhelms you. Understanding the difference helps you respond correctly. Discomfort often signals progress. Growth demands adjustment. New skills, habits, and perspectives feel awkward at first. This unease is temporary. It challenges comfort but does not destroy stability. It builds resilience. Chaos, on the other hand, drains energy without purpose. Recognizing structured discomfort helps you stay calm. You learn to sit with pressure without panic. This emotional control supports clarity. Over time, discomfort transforms into confidence. What once felt heavy becomes familiar. Direction strengthens because you stayed present through pressure instead of escaping it. When direction feels unclear, communication often changes. Instead of asking for specific outcomes, your thoughts become more reflective. You begin questioning motives, timing, and long-term meaning. This shift shows maturity rather than weakness. It signals deeper self-awareness. In this stage, urgency fades. You stop demanding instant answers. Patience begins forming naturally. This slows impulsive decisions and reduces regret. Calm thinking replaces emotional reactions. Reflection becomes more honest. You stop hiding from difficult truths. You examine patterns in behavior and choices. This honesty strengthens clarity and builds emotional intelligence. As reflection deepens, direction becomes clearer. You recognize what aligns with your values. Decisions feel less forced. This stage reshapes thinking for long-term stability. Periods of wandering often feel unproductive. You may believe progress has stopped, but unseen growth happens quietly. Skills develop internally before showing externally. This stage builds foundation. Wandering removes pressure to perform. Without clear direction, expectations loosen. This creates space to experiment, explore, and learn without fear of failure. Curiosity replaces stress. During this time, priorities reorganize. You learn what deserves energy and what doesn't. This sorting process improves focus and prevents future burnout. It also improves discipline. When direction returns, it feels intentional. You move with understanding rather than urgency. Wandering was not wasted time. It refined clarity and strengthened judgment. Feeling lost often changes social dynamics. Certain conversations feel empty. Some connections naturally fade. This can feel lonely at first, but separation creates focus. Distractions lose appeal during this phase. Activities that once filled time no longer satisfy. This discomfort pushes you toward purpose-driven thinking. Awareness increases naturally. The stage removes external noise. Fewer opinions influence decisions. You begin trusting internal judgment more. This independence strengthens confidence and clarity. As distractions fade, alignment grows. You reconnect with meaningful goals. Focus sharpens. Direction becomes easier to recognize without constant interference. Direction often forms internally before it shows externally. Internal clarity builds quietly. You feel subtle certainty without visible proof. This stage requires patience. External signs come later. First, perspective changes, then behavior adjusts. Finally, circumstances shift. Understanding this order reduces anxiety during waiting. Internal shifts affect decision-making. You respond instead of reacting. You pause before acting. This calm approach improves outcomes and reduces mistakes. Once external changes appear, they feel natural. Nothing feels rushed. Internal preparation made space for stable progress. Emotional discomfort often signals expansion. When growth begins, resistance appears. Old habits feel restrictive. New patterns feel unfamiliar. This tension is temporary. Discomfort teaches resilience. You learn to sit with unease without escaping. This emotional strength improves long-term stability and confidence. Avoiding discomfort delays growth. Facing it builds adaptability. Each challenge strengthens patience and emotional control. This prepares you for future responsibilities. Over time, discomfort transforms into capability. What once felt difficult becomes manageable. Growth completes its cycle through persistence. Uncertainty challenges trust in outcomes. You want guarantees, but growth often removes certainty first. This builds reliance on process rather than results. This stage strengthens adaptability. You learn to move without full visibility. Flexibility replaces rigid planning. This improves problem-solving skills. Uncertainty also sharpens intuition. You notice subtle signals. You trust judgment instead of prediction. This builds confidence from experience. When clarity returns, it feels earned. Trust deepens because it was tested. Uncertainty strengthens belief in your ability to navigate change. Feeling lost slows momentum. This pause feels uncomfortable, but it improves awareness. Rushed movement often hides mistakes. Stillness reveals them. Listening becomes intentional. You notice patterns in thoughts and reactions. You recognize emotional triggers. This awareness improves control. Careful listening improves choices. You stop repeating cycles. You understand consequences before acting. This leads to smarter decisions. Slowness creates accuracy. Direction becomes clear because attention sharpened. Listening replaced rushing. Internal conviction develops quietly. It doesn't demand attention. It remains consistent over time. This steadiness builds trust. Conviction feels calm, not pressured. It doesn't create fear. It offers clarity without urgency. This makes it reliable. External noise often contradicts internal certainty. Learning to prioritize inner clarity strengthens independence and confidence. When action aligns with conviction, results feel stable. Direction holds because it was built internally first. Some goals lose meaning over time. This realization can feel painful. Letting go feels like failure, but it creates space. Old goals may no longer align with growth. Holding them blocks progress. Release allows alignment with current values. This stage refines ambition. You pursue quality over quantity. Meaning replaces validation. Purpose strengthens. New goals feel grounded. They fit who you are now. Letting go made room for alignment. Control often feels safe, but it limits flexibility. Feeling lost weakens control gently. This creates openness. Letting go reduces pressure. You stop forcing outcomes. This calm improves clarity and decision-making. Surrender increases awareness. You notice better timing. You respond rather than push. This improves flow. When direction stabilizes, it feels natural. Control was replaced by understanding. Letting go restored clarity. Feeling lost often changes how you view time. You stop rushing toward results and start noticing the present moment. Days feel slower, but also heavier with meaning. This shift helps you recognize where your energy is truly going. When urgency fades, clarity grows. You begin seeing how constant pressure shaped past decisions. Many choices were made to escape discomfort rather than build stability. This awareness changes future planning. This stage teaches patience without passivity. You are still moving, but more thoughtfully. Actions become intentional. Every step carries weight instead of haste. Over time, this relationship with time improves balance. You act when necessary and wait when needed. Direction becomes steady because timing is respected. Feeling disconnected from old motivations can be confusing. What once excited you may now feel empty. This does not mean ambition is gone. It means priorities are shifting. External rewards lose their pull. Approval, status, or comparison no longer drive action. This creates space to reassess what success truly means for you. During this phase, motivation becomes internal. You begin acting from alignment instead of pressure. This improves consistency and reduces burnout. When motivation returns, it feels cleaner. It is not forced. It lasts longer because it is rooted in purpose, not reaction. Uncertainty often reveals hidden fears. When direction disappears, fear surfaces. Fear of failure, rejection, or wasted time becomes louder. This exposure is uncomfortable but necessary. Facing fear weakens its control. You begin separating imagined outcomes from reality. This builds emotional clarity and confidence. Fear also highlights values. What you fear losing often shows what you value most. This insight guides future decisions. Once fear is understood, it loses power. You move forward with awareness instead of avoidance. Direction strengthens through honesty. Periods of feeling lost often refine discipline. Without clear direction, habits become visible. Some habits support growth, others drain focus. This stage encourages evaluation rather than judgment. You notice routines without labeling yourself as wrong. Awareness replaces criticism. Small adjustments begin forming. Sleep improves. Focus sharpens. Boundaries strengthen. These changes create internal order. As discipline improves, clarity increases. Structure supports direction. You feel grounded even before answers arrive. Loneliness can increase during uncertain seasons. Conversations feel shallow. Fewer people understand your mindset. This isolation feels heavy but serves purpose. Solitude strengthens self-connection. You learn to sit with thoughts instead of escaping them. This builds emotional resilience. Being alone removes external influence. Decisions become clearer without constant opinions. Independence grows quietly. When connection returns, it feels deeper. Relationships align better with who you've become. Solitude prepared you for healthier bonds. Loss of direction often improves self-trust. Without guidance from routines, you rely on judgment. This strengthens confidence through experience. Mistakes become lessons instead of failures. Each choice teaches awareness. This builds practical wisdom. Trust grows through repetition. You learn that even wrong turns teach valuable insight. Fear of decision-making decreases. Eventually, confidence stabilizes. You trust your ability to adapt. Direction feels less fragile because trust is internal. Emotional clarity often improves before logical clarity. You may not know the next step, but you know what feels wrong. This awareness is valuable. Listening to emotional signals prevents repeated mistakes. Discomfort guides adjustment. Relief signals alignment. Ignoring emotions delays clarity. Acknowledging them accelerates growth. Emotional honesty improves decision making. Over time, logic catches up. Emotional awareness prepared the ground. Direction forms naturally afterward. Feeling lost reduces attachment to outcomes. You stop measuring worth by results alone. This shift protects mental health. Outcome obsession creates pressure. Release restores balance. You focus on process instead of perfection. This mindset improves consistency. You show up without expectation. Effort becomes sustainable. When results arrive, they feel earned. They don't define you. Balance keeps direction healthy. Identity clarity often follows uncertainty. Losing old definitions creates confusion. First, then alignment forms. You redefine success on your terms. Values guide decisions instead of comparison. This strengthens confidence. Self-respect grows during this phase. You stop chasing approval. Boundaries become natural. Identity stabilizes with time. Direction holds because it matches who you truly are. Feeling lost often signals readiness for responsibility. Growth requires capacity. Confusion stretches that capacity. Challenges increase awareness and patience. You become more capable of handling complexity. This prepares you for bigger roles. Responsibility feels lighter after preparation. What once overwhelmed now feels manageable. Growth completes its cycle. Direction returns stronger. You are ready for what comes next. Feeling lost was preparation, not punishment. Feeling lost often makes people question past choices. You replay decisions and wonder if things could have been different. This reflection can feel heavy, but it helps separate regret from responsibility. Understanding the difference brings relief. Regret focuses on what cannot change. Responsibility focuses on what can improve. This stage shifts attention toward learning instead of self-blame. Growth begins when judgment softens. Reviewing the past with honesty builds wisdom. You recognize patterns that led to burnout or dissatisfaction. This insight prevents repetition and strengthens future planning. Once lessons are absorbed, the past loses control. Direction improves because choices are informed rather than reactive. Reflection becomes a tool instead of a burden. Mental clarity often improves through simplification. Feeling lost strips away excess goals, distractions, and expectations. What remains feels more honest. Complex plans collapse during uncertainty. This forces focus on essentials. Basic needs, values, and priorities come forward. Simplicity restores balance. Reducing mental clutter improves decision-making. You stop overthinking and start responding with clarity. This calm improves emotional stability. With fewer distractions, direction sharpens. Simplicity creates space for meaningful progress and long-term focus. Unclear direction often highlights hidden exhaustion. Constant movement without purpose drains energy. Feeling lost forces rest. Rest is not failure. It allows recovery of clarity and motivation. Without rest, direction feels forced and unstable. This stage rebuilds emotional and mental strength. Energy returns gradually. Perspective improves alongside recovery. Once rested, choices feel lighter. Direction strengthens because decisions are made from clarity, not fatigue. When direction fades, values become clearer. You question what truly matters. This evaluation reshapes priorities. Some goals lose importance. Others rise unexpectedly. This sorting process brings alignment with personal truth. Values guide decisions during uncertainty. They offer stability when outcomes are unclear. This internal compass builds confidence. Once values lead, direction feels consistent. Choices align naturally with what matters most. Feeling lost often increases awareness of boundaries. You notice what drains you. You recognize what restores you. Boundaries become necessary for stability. You limit overcommitment and protect energy. This improves mental health. Saying no becomes easier. You respect capacity instead of pushing limits. This strengthens self-respect. Healthy boundaries create balance. Direction stabilizes because energy is managed wisely. Periods of uncertainty often strengthen adaptability. You learn to adjust plans without panic. Flexibility becomes skill. Rigid expectations soften. You respond to change instead of resisting it. This reduces stress and frustration. Adaptability improves problem solving. You explore options instead of fixating on one outcome. Creativity increases. With adaptability, direction feels resilient. Change no longer threatens progress. It supports it. Feeling lost can improve emotional regulation. Strong emotions surface. Learning to manage them builds control. Instead of reacting, you observe feelings. This distance improves response quality. Emotional intelligence grows. Managing emotions improves relationships. Communication becomes calmer. Understanding increases. Emotional balance supports clarity. Direction improves when emotions are managed, not suppressed. Uncertainty often improves listening skills. You pay attention more carefully. You notice details previously ignored. Listening to others becomes intentional. Listening to yourself becomes deeper. This improves awareness. Better listening improves understanding. Miscommunication decreases. Insight increases. Clarity improves through listening. Direction emerges from understanding rather than assumption. Feeling lost reduces attachment to image. You stop maintaining appearances. Authenticity increases. Without image pressure, honesty grows. You express truth without fear. This strengthens self-respect. Authenticity improves connection. Relationships deepen. Trust builds naturally. Direction aligns with authenticity. Choices feel real, not performative. Periods of uncertainty prepare for long-term success. Skills develop quietly. Character strengthens internally. Short-term confusion builds long-term stability. Patience replaces urgency. Understanding replaces impulse. Preparedness grows through experience. You become capable of handling complexity. When direction returns, it lasts. Feeling lost was preparation for sustainable growth. Feeling lost often exposes how much pressure you carried silently. When direction disappears, hidden stress surfaces. You realize how much effort went into holding everything together. This awareness is uncomfortable but freeing. Pressure fades when expectations loosen. You stop forcing progress. This creates mental space to breathe and think clearly. Calm slowly replaces tension. Reduced pressure improves decision quality. You respond thoughtfully instead of reacting emotionally. This clarity improves long-term outcomes. Once pressure lifts, direction stabilizes. Progress feels sustainable instead of exhausting. Balance returns naturally. Uncertainty can change how you define progress. Instead of speed, quality becomes important. You focus on depth rather than distance. This shift improves patience. You stop measuring success daily. Long-term vision strengthens. Short-term frustration decreases. Quality-driven thinking reduces comparison. You stop chasing external timelines. This improves emotional health. Direction strengthens because it aligns with personal growth, not outside pressure. Feeling lost often reveals reliance on routine. When routine breaks, awareness increases. You see how habits shaped choices. Some routines supported growth, others limited flexibility. Recognizing the difference improves self-control. Rebuilding routines intentionally creates stability. New habits form based on awareness instead of autopilot. Strong routines support clarity. Direction becomes easier when structure aligns with values. Periods of confusion often refine communication. You speak less but listen more. Words become intentional. This improves relationships. You communicate needs clearly. Misunderstandings decrease. Silence becomes comfortable. You no longer feel pressure to explain everything. Confidence grows quietly. Clear communication supports clarity. Direction improves when expression aligns with understanding. Feeling lost may reduce emotional reactivity. Strong emotions still appear, but control improves. You pause before responding. This space between emotion and action improves judgment. Decisions become thoughtful. Regret decreases. Emotional maturity strengthens relationships. Conflict reduces. Understanding increases. Emotional balance supports clarity. Direction forms through calm awareness. Uncertainty often improves resilience. Facing unknown outcomes builds strength. You learn you can adapt. Each challenge increases confidence. Fear decreases through experience. Courage grows naturally. Resilience improves endurance. You stay present through discomfort without escaping. Strong resilience supports direction. You move forward with stability, not fear. Feeling lost can reset. Ambition. Goals become realistic. You choose sustainability over intensity. This shift prevents burnout. Energy is managed wisely. Consistency improves. Balanced ambition improves satisfaction. You enjoy progress without constant pressure. Direction strengthens because goals align with capacity. Periods of confusion often improve clarity around priorities. You see what truly matters. Time and energy are allocated intentionally. Distractions lose importance. Focused priorities reduce overwhelm. Simplicity improves productivity. Clear priorities support direction. Progress feels intentional and stable. Feeling lost can deepen self-respect. You stop abandoning needs for approval. Boundaries strengthen naturally. You protect time and energy. Self-respect improves confidence. Decisions align with well-being. Direction stabilizes because choices honor personal limits. Uncertainty often marks the final stage before clarity. Internal alignment completes quietly. Confidence returns without force. Direction feels calm and grounded. Movement resumes with purpose. Actions feel intentional. Feeling lost ends with readiness. Growth has prepared you fully. Feeling lost often forces you to evaluate energy investment. You notice which tasks and relationships drain resources and which nourish growth. This self-awareness is uncomfortable at first because it challenges habits formed over years. Yet it becomes crucial for building sustainable momentum. When energy assessment begins, you naturally prioritize tasks and activities that create meaningful results. Small, previously ignored details become more noticeable, revealing hidden opportunities for improvement. Awareness of energy flow helps prevent wasted effort and wasted time. This stage also strengthens decision-making. You start saying no more confidently. You protect time from distractions that do not align with personal goals. Learning to manage energy effectively reduces stress while increasing output and focus. Over time, this refined focus creates natural clarity. Decisions feel purposeful, and progress occurs without forced effort. What once seemed chaotic becomes structured through conscious energy allocation. Direction emerges organically. Periods of uncertainty often reveal hidden habits. When routine breaks, weaknesses and inefficiencies appear clearly, you realize how many automatic behaviors were limiting productivity and emotional stability. This recognition, while uncomfortable, creates an opportunity to rebuild more effective habits. Identifying limiting patterns allows you to replace them with intentional routines. Each small adjustment compounds over time. You begin to structure days with purpose, paying attention to timing, priorities, and energy peaks. These routines no longer feel forced because they are chosen consciously. This stage also strengthens accountability. You understand that reliance on external validation diminishes effectiveness. Success becomes measured by progress rather than perception. Developing internal benchmarks improves consistency and mental resilience. Ultimately, the awareness of habits and deliberate restructuring of daily patterns produces clarity. You operate with intention instead of autopilot. Direction and purpose become evident as routines and behavior align with long-term goals. Feeling lost often brings focus to long-term vision. When immediate outcomes fade, you begin examining broader objectives. You reflect on past decisions, current efforts, and the kind of life you aim to build. This reflection creates perspective beyond temporary uncertainty. During this time, mental frameworks evolve. You realize that small daily actions compound toward long-term success. Understanding this principle helps reduce anxiety about immediate results. Patience becomes a strength rather than a limitation. This period also allows for scenario planning. You consider multiple approaches, assess potential risks, and visualize different paths forward. These exercises sharpen problem-solving skills and enhance strategic thinking. By the end of this stage, direction becomes clearer because long-term vision has been clarified. Daily choices feel aligned with bigger objectives. Feeling lost transitions into a structured approach to personal and professional growth. Periods of feeling lost often highlight overlooked strengths. Challenges reveal capabilities that were dormant or underutilized. You recognize skills that were previously taken for granted or ignored because life was too predictable. This recognition encourages confidence. You understand that past successes were not luck but evidence of ability. Skills gained from previous experience become tools for navigating uncertainty, increasing adaptability and resourcefulness. The stage also encourages skill refinement. Weaknesses are identified and addressed. You actively seek learning opportunities and practice new methods. This proactive development builds mastery over time. Eventually, this awareness transforms uncertainty into empowerment. You feel equipped to handle challenges, and direction solidifies because you now trust in the skills and knowledge you possess. Feeling lost often strengthens problem-solving abilities. When immediate guidance is absent, you rely on internal reasoning and analysis. This process forces critical thinking and creative solutions. Obstacles that once seemed overwhelming now become manageable. You learn to break down complex issues into smaller steps. Solutions emerge through patience and structured consideration. The stage also improves flexibility. If one approach fails, you experiment with alternatives rather than giving up. Each success and failure teaches adaptation, resilience, and effective decision-making. By the end, problem-solving becomes second nature. Direction is regained because you can assess options logically, confidently navigate challenges, and choose the path that aligns with goals. Periods of uncertainty often improve self-reliance. When external guidance fades, you rely on personal judgment. This process strengthens confidence and independence, showing you are capable of navigating complexity without constant direction. Self-reliance fosters accountability. You accept responsibility for decisions, both positive and negative, and learn from outcomes. This ownership builds credibility and maturity in both personal and professional spheres. This stage also nurtures resourcefulness. You learn to maximize available tools, connections, and knowledge. Innovative thinking emerges naturally because reliance on existing methods is limited. By the end, self-reliance reduces hesitation and strengthens decision-making. Direction is clearer because you trust your own judgment and capability to handle challenges. Feeling lost often increases awareness of mental clarity. Distractions fade and focus sharpens. You notice details previously overlooked and you can process information more effectively, allowing better decisions. Mental clarity reduces impulsive reactions. You pause before acting, evaluate multiple perspectives, and choose actions that support long-term stability. This improves both confidence and outcomes. The stage also strengthens organization. You identify patterns, streamline routines, and focus on priorities. Mental efficiency improves, producing better results with less effort. Direction emerges naturally because thought processes become structured. Uncertainty transforms into deliberate decision-making grounded in clarity and focus. Periods of feeling lost often deepen self-awareness. You reflect on motivations, fears, desires, and limitations. This understanding fosters more intentional choices and reduces repeated mistakes. Self-awareness helps identify personal triggers, improving emotional intelligence. You learn to manage stress and reactions effectively, creating mental and emotional stability. This stage encourages alignment with personal values. Actions begin to match beliefs and priorities, reducing inner conflict and improving focus on what truly matters. As self-awareness grows, clarity strengthens. Direction returns because choices now reflect authentic priorities and conscious decisions rather than reactive impulses. Feeling lost often improves planning skills. With immediate direction absent, you must anticipate challenges, identify resources, and develop strategies. This enhances foresight and preparation. Strategic thinking develops naturally. You examine consequences, consider multiple paths, and prepare contingencies. Each decision becomes more calculated and intentional. This stage improves adaptability as well. Plans are flexible, allowing adjustment when unexpected obstacles appear. Experience reinforces resilience and reduces fear of uncertainty. By the end, planning skills produce a stable foundation. Direction becomes reliable because actions are informed, deliberate, and aligned with long-term objectives. Periods of uncertainty often improve focus on priorities. With extraneous distractions removed, attention shifts to essential tasks and long-term goals. Efficiency increases naturally. Prioritization strengthens time management. You allocate energy where it matters most, reducing wasted effort and preventing burnout. Focus also improves quality. Decisions, communication, and effort align with what truly matters, increasing consistency and measurable progress. By the end, direction becomes clear. Goals, energy, and attention converge, producing purposeful and sustained forward movement. Feeling lost often brings clarity about hidden distractions. You notice how many small tasks or habits take attention away from meaningful work. Realizing this can feel uncomfortable because it challenges daily routines you've relied on. This awareness creates space for refocusing. By identifying which activities are truly productive, you can redirect energy toward long-term goals. Even minor adjustments in schedule or habits produce noticeable improvements over time. The stage also encourages mindful engagement. You start paying attention to where effort is spent and what outcomes are generated. This reduces wasted energy and increases efficiency. Eventually, direction returns because priorities are aligned with intention. The mental clutter that once caused confusion disappears, making it easier to recognize the next right steps. Periods of uncertainty often uncover unrecognized potential. When old structures fail, you are forced to explore skills or abilities you never tested. This self-discovery can feel intimidating, but opens doors to growth. You experiment with new approaches, learning what works and what doesn't. Mistakes are no longer failures. They are data for improvement. This exploration strengthens resilience and creativity. Developing untapped skills also increases confidence. You start seeing challenges as opportunities instead of obstacles. Each small success reinforces the ability to adapt. By the end, direction becomes evident because you now have a broader skill set. Choices feel empowered and deliberate, making it easier to pursue meaningful outcomes. Feeling lost often emphasizes the importance of personal boundaries. When direction disappears, you see which commitments drain energy and which relationships are supportive. This can feel isolating initially, but ultimately protective. By identifying boundaries, you learn to say no without guilt. This preserves focus and emotional energy. The stage teaches self-respect and prioritization of what truly matters. Boundary awareness also improves decision-making. When external pressures are minimized, Choices become clearer and more aligned with your own goals. Direction returns naturally because energy is no longer wasted on distractions. Focused attention and intentional decisions produce forward momentum. Periods of confusion often strengthen adaptability. When plans fail or situations shift unexpectedly, you learn to pivot and adjust. This flexibility reduces stress and improves resilience. Adaptation encourages creative problem solving. Instead of clinging to old methods, you explore multiple solutions. This strengthens confidence in handling uncertainty. The stage also develops patience. You realize that immediate results are not always possible, and progress often happens incrementally. This understanding reduces frustration. Eventually, direction becomes stable because adaptability allows you to move forward even in unpredictable circumstances. Each decision is informed by experience rather than impulse. Feeling lost can reveal the impact of overcommitting. You notice how spreading energy too thin hinders progress. This realization can be unsettling, but highlights the need for focus. Prioritizing essential goals improves efficiency. You begin saying no to tasks or obligations that don't align with larger objectives. This stage also strengthens time management. By focusing on what matters, you accomplish more without added stress. Small wins compound into measurable progress. Direction returns naturally because attention is concentrated where it creates the most impact. Clarity comes from purposeful allocation of time and energy. Periods of uncertainty often highlight hidden strengths in problem solving. When predictable methods fail, you must think differently to overcome challenges. You experiment, analyze results, and iterate. Each attempt builds understanding and enhances confidence in navigating complex situations. This stage also teaches humility and persistence. Success is rarely immediate, but learning continues even when outcomes are unclear. Direction emerges because problem-solving abilities allow you to find actionable solutions. Confidence grows as uncertainty becomes a space for development rather than fear. Feeling lost often improves awareness of personal energy cycles. You notice when you are most productive, creative, or mentally alert. This knowledge can transform planning and results. Adjusting tasks to align with energy peaks improves efficiency and reduces burnout. You begin to respect your natural rhythms instead of forcing output at suboptimal times. The stage also encourages reflection on work-life balance. Priorities become clearer and unnecessary commitments are trimmed. By the end, direction strengthens because decisions are made when focus and energy are optimal. Progress flows naturally without forced effort. Periods of uncertainty can reveal hidden patterns in decision-making. You see how past choices, biases, or habits influenced outcomes. Recognizing these patterns is uncomfortable but enlightening. Awareness allows adjustments. You avoid repeating mistakes and refine strategies for better results. Insight improves efficiency and confidence. This stage also develops analytical skills. You learn to evaluate situations more objectively, reducing emotional influence and impulsivity. Direction becomes clear as choices align with learned patterns and informed strategies. Progress is intentional rather than random. Feeling lost often strengthens mental resilience. When external direction disappears, challenges feel magnified, forcing you to rely on internal resources. This builds emotional and cognitive strength. You practice patience, perseverance, and focus during difficult periods. Resilience also improves adaptability. Setbacks are no longer debilitating. They become opportunities to learn and adjust strategies. By the end, direction stabilizes because mental resilience supports consistent, confident decision-making, even under pressure. Periods of confusion often improve clarity of long-term goals. When short-term answers are unavailable, you reflect on ultimate objectives and purpose. This reflection helps filter out distractions ensuring energy is focused on meaningful tasks. You notice what truly aligns with vision versus what consumes time without results. The stage also enhances planning skills. Anticipating obstacles and preparing contingencies increases confidence in executing steps toward goals. Eventually, direction becomes evident. With priorities clear, energy focused, and plans in place, you move forward intentionally and with purpose. Feeling lost often exposes hidden assumptions you've relied on for years. You realize many decisions were influenced by habits, expectations, or social pressures rather than deliberate thought. This can feel uncomfortable but also enlightening as it highlights areas for growth. Examining these assumptions allows you to question long-held beliefs. You analyze what aligns with reality and what was based on convenience or fear. This critical self-reflection strengthens judgment and helps prevent repeating past mistakes. During this stage, curiosity becomes a driving force. You start exploring ideas, methods, and approaches that were previously ignored. This experimentation fosters creative thinking and problem-solving skills. By the end, direction becomes clear because choices are no longer constrained by outdated assumptions. You move forward with intention, informed by insight and self-awareness. Periods of uncertainty often sharpen observation skills. When outcomes are unclear, you start noticing details in situations, people, and patterns that were previously overlooked. This heightened awareness improves decision-making. Small observations accumulate into meaningful insights. You begin connecting dots that previously seemed unrelated, giving clarity on how to proceed. These discoveries often guide choices more effectively than rushed decisions. The stage also encourages patience. You learn to wait for information before acting, recognizing that clarity comes gradually and cannot be forced. Direction returns naturally because you now act based on careful observation rather than guesswork or assumptions. Awareness guides each step forward. Feeling lost can improve adaptability under pressure. Unexpected changes or obstacles force you to experiment with new solutions and approaches. This builds confidence in handling uncertainty. You learn to respond instead of react. Each challenge becomes a lesson in flexibility, showing how to pivot without losing momentum. Over time, this strengthens resilience and reduces anxiety. The stage also enhances resourcefulness. Limited options encourage creative problem solving, making you more capable in future situations. By the end, direction stabilizes because you can adjust effectively to changing circumstances. Uncertainty becomes a tool for growth rather than a hindrance. Periods of confusion often highlight hidden priorities. When immediate direction is gone, you notice which tasks, goals, and relationships truly matter. This process can feel uncomfortable, but ultimately improves focus. Identifying priorities allows better allocation of energy and attention. You stop investing in activities that produce minimal results, improving efficiency and satisfaction. This stage also strengthens planning skills. You learn to sequence actions, set achievable targets, and avoid overcommitting. Clear priorities make every decision more purposeful. Direction emerges naturally because choices are aligned with what matters most. Progress feels intentional rather than chaotic. Feeling lost often uncovers hidden resilience. When the familiar structure disappears, you realize you can handle more than previously thought. Each challenge strengthens patience and confidence. This resilience allows you to maintain composure under stress. Setbacks no longer feel paralyzing, but as opportunities to learn and adapt. During this stage, perseverance becomes a habit. You continue forward despite uncertainty, building endurance and mental strength over time. By the end, direction solidifies because you now trust your ability to navigate challenges. Resilience creates a stable foundation for informed action. Periods of uncertainty often refine decision-making skills. When guidance is absent, you are forced to analyze information critically, weigh options carefully, and anticipate consequences. This process enhances logical thinking, Decisions are made based on reasoning rather than impulse or external influence, improving outcomes. The stage also promotes confidence in judgment. Each choice, successful or not, builds experience and strengthens the ability to handle future uncertainty. Direction returns because decisions are more calculated and informed. Progress becomes consistent, purposeful, and sustainable. Feeling lost often forces evaluation of communication patterns. You notice which discussions energize you, which drain you, and how tone, clarity, and timing influence outcomes. This self-reflection improves interaction with others. You learn to listen actively, express ideas clearly, and reduce misunderstandings. During this stage, communication becomes intentional. Words are chosen carefully, making interactions more effective and relationships stronger. Direction stabilizes because clear communication eliminates confusion, aligns expectations, and improves collaboration in achieving goals. Periods of confusion can reveal hidden creativity. Without strict guidelines or predictable routines, your mind searches for new approaches and solutions. This creative exploration often leads to innovation in personal projects, work, or problem-solving strategies. Experimentation becomes a method to discover what works best. The stage also strengthens confidence in trial and error. Failures are no longer setbacks, but data points for learning and refinement. Direction becomes evident as creative problem-solving reveals viable paths. Progress is intentional and informed by imaginative thinking. Feeling lost often improves self-reflection. You analyze choices, motivations, and reactions to understand behavior more deeply. This introspection reveals strengths and weaknesses previously unnoticed. The stage encourages emotional regulation. Recognizing triggers allows you to respond calmly and thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. Reflection also supports clarity in goal setting. By understanding past patterns, you make better decisions that align with long-term objectives. Direction emerges naturally because self-awareness informs every action. Each choice becomes deliberate rather than reactive. Periods of uncertainty often strengthen planning and foresight. Without immediate clarity, you anticipate obstacles, create strategies, and explore multiple approaches. This stage enhances strategic thinking. You learn to weigh risks, evaluate alternatives, and prioritize actions for maximum impact. Planning under uncertainty builds patience. You accept that progress may be incremental and outcomes may be delayed, reducing frustration and improving persistence. By the end, direction stabilizes because careful preparation ensures each step is purposeful, goals feel achievable, and progress is intentional and steady. Feeling lost often makes you question your routines. You notice which habits support growth and which waste energy. This awareness can feel uncomfortable because it exposes inefficiency and long-held patterns that no longer serve you. By analyzing routines, you can optimize time and effort. Small changes, like adjusting schedules or shifting focus, compound into meaningful progress. Efficiency increases as unnecessary actions are removed. This stage also highlights mental bandwidth. When routines align with goals, your mind is less cluttered, reducing stress and improving focus. Thought processes become clearer. Direction returns naturally because habits are intentional and purposeful. With better routines, daily decisions support long-term objectives, producing consistent results. Periods of uncertainty often uncover overlooked skills. Challenges push you to use abilities that were dormant or underestimated. This self-discovery can be empowering and boost confidence. Experimentation becomes key. You try new approaches, learn from mistakes, and refine methods. Every small success reinforces competence and adaptability. The stage encourages learning agility. You absorb lessons faster and apply insights immediately, preparing for future challenges. Direction stabilizes because you now trust in your own capabilities. Confidence guides actions and progress flows naturally. Feeling lost often exposes hidden dependencies. You notice when you rely too heavily on others for direction or motivation. This recognition is uncomfortable, but reveals areas for growth and self-sufficiency. By developing autonomy, you build internal guidance. Decision-making improves because choices are based on your own judgment rather than external influence. This stage also strengthens problem-solving. Facing challenges independently enhances creativity, resilience, and flexibility. You learn that solutions often exist within your own resources. Direction emerges as self-reliance grows. Choices feel intentional, and progress is powered by capability rather than dependence. Periods of confusion often encourage reassessment of goals. You question whether old objectives still align with your current path. This evaluation can feel unsettling, but is crucial for meaningful progress. Some goals may be discarded while others gain clarity. Energy is redirected toward pursuits that truly matter, increasing efficiency and satisfaction. The stage improves prioritization. Decisions are guided by relevance and impact rather than habit or obligation. Each choice carries more purpose. Direction becomes clear because goals now reflect authenticity. Actions support meaningful outcomes, and progress feels intentional. Feeling lost often heightens awareness of emotional patterns. You notice triggers, reactions, and recurring feelings that influence decisions. This understanding is uncomfortable but powerful. With this awareness, emotional regulation improves. You learn to respond calmly rather than react impulsively, reducing mistakes and conflict. The stage strengthens empathy and relationships. Clearer emotional understanding improves communication and trust with others. Direction stabilizes because emotions no longer cloud judgment. Decisions are grounded in awareness, creating steady forward momentum. Periods of uncertainty often strengthen resilience under stress. Facing unknowns repeatedly builds mental stamina and perseverance. Challenges that once felt overwhelming become manageable. You learn to adapt to change and recover from setbacks quickly. Each experience reinforces confidence and problem-solving abilities. This stage also encourages strategic risk-taking. You recognize opportunities hidden within uncertainty and act decisively. Direction returns naturally because resilience allows steady progress. Challenges no longer derail you. They guide learning and growth. Feeling lost often encourages reflection on past decisions. You analyze choices, outcomes, and patterns to understand what worked and what didn't. This introspection fosters learning and growth. Reflection helps identify blind spots in thinking, behavior, and strategy. Awareness of these areas reduces repeated mistakes and strengthens judgment. The stage also improves foresight. You anticipate consequences more accurately and make decisions with long-term outcomes in mind. Direction becomes evident because decisions are now informed by experience. Each action is intentional, strategic, and aligned with growth. Periods of confusion often encourage creative problem-solving. Without clear direction, conventional solutions may fail, forcing innovation and experimentation. You explore alternative methods, adapt strategies, and combine knowledge in new ways. Each trial teaches flexibility and ingenuity. This stage also strengthens confidence in handling uncertainty. You learn to trust creative instincts and evaluate risks thoughtfully. Direction stabilizes because solutions emerge from experimentation. Progress is purposeful, informed by creativity and insight. Feeling lost often improves awareness of personal boundaries. You notice what drains energy and what restores focus. Protecting these boundaries becomes a priority. Establishing limits improves productivity and mental well-being. Energy is directed toward activities and relationships that align with values and goals. This stage also strengthens decision-making. By respecting limits, you avoid overcommitment and focus on meaningful outcomes. Direction returns naturally because choices honor priorities, energy, and capacity. Progress becomes sustainable and intentional. Periods of uncertainty often refine strategic thinking. With outcomes unclear, you consider multiple paths, evaluate risks, and anticipate challenges before acting. This stage improves planning skills. You prioritize tasks, sequence actions logically, and create contingencies to reduce unexpected setbacks. Strategic thinking also strengthens adaptability. Plans can change dynamically without losing focus on overall objectives. Direction becomes clear because decisions are deliberate, informed, and aligned with long-term goals. Uncertainty transitions into structured progress. Feeling lost often brings attention to the role of habits in daily life. You notice how unconscious routines shape outcomes, influence energy, and affect mental clarity. Some habits are supportive, while others consume time and distract from meaningful progress. Recognizing this is the first step toward intentional action. Once habits are identified, small adjustments can have a major impact. You start replacing inefficient routines with practices that align with long-term objectives. Even minor shifts in morning habits, focus blocks, or energy management create measurable improvements over weeks. This stage also develops self-discipline. Maintaining new routines requires consistent effort and accountability. But over time, consistency becomes effortless and natural. Direction returns because your daily structure now supports rather than hinders progress. Clarity emerges as intentional habits replace autopilot behaviors, allowing you to focus on what truly matters. Periods of uncertainty often reveal untapped creativity. Without strict structures or immediate answers, your mind begins exploring alternative approaches and generating solutions previously ignored. This exploration can feel uncomfortable initially, but it often leads to unexpected breakthroughs. Creative thinking allows you to experiment and discover new ways to overcome challenges. Mistakes become learning opportunities rather than failures, and each iteration improves problem-solving skills. This stage also builds confidence in your ability to adapt. Knowing that you can generate multiple solutions strengthens decision-making and reduces anxiety about uncertainty. Direction stabilizes because innovative thinking uncovers new paths. What initially felt like chaos becomes a landscape of possibilities, and progress becomes intentional. Feeling lost often increases awareness of personal energy limits. You begin noticing when concentration, motivation, and productivity are highest, and when fatigue or distraction takes over. Understanding these patterns helps you manage tasks and commitments more effectively. Adjusting your schedule to align with energy peaks improves performance and reduces burnout. High-impact tasks are completed when focus is strongest, and low-energy periods are used for recovery or simpler activities. This stage also strengthens prioritization skills. You learn to allocate effort strategically, investing in what produces the greatest return in terms of progress and personal growth. Direction returns naturally because actions are now guided by energy management. You achieve more in less time, making forward movement feel effortless and purposeful. Periods of confusion often highlight overlooked strengths. Challenges push you to use skills or talents previously untested, revealing capabilities you may have underestimated. You discover resilience, resourcefulness, and creativity in situations where traditional methods fail. This self-awareness builds confidence and reinforces the understanding that difficulties are opportunities for growth. The stage also fosters independence. You rely less on external input and learn to trust your own judgment, developing a stronger sense of self-reliance. Direction emerges because newfound strengths provide the tools and confidence to navigate uncertainty. Challenges transform into stepping stones toward meaningful progress. Feeling lost often emphasizes the importance of focus. Distraction and noise from daily life fade as you prioritize essential tasks and long-term objectives. This clarity can feel overwhelming at first, but ultimately creates space for effective decision-making. Concentrated attention allows you to complete important work more efficiently. You stop spreading energy across irrelevant areas and direct effort where it matters most. This stage also strengthens commitment. Focused effort leads to tangible results, reinforcing the benefits of concentrated attention and reducing the temptation to multitask inefficiently. Direction becomes clear because each action aligns with purpose. Progress accelerates as energy and intention converge toward meaningful goals. Periods of uncertainty often improve problem-solving skills. Without clear guidance, you must analyze situations, identify obstacles, and generate solutions independently. You learn to break down complex challenges into smaller, manageable steps. Each solution builds experience and improves confidence in navigating unknown territory. This stage also strengthens resilience. Mistakes or failed attempts are no longer discouraging. They provide insight for future attempts, increasing adaptability. Direction stabilizes because problem-solving ability allows consistent progress. Challenges no longer hinder movement. Instead, they reveal actionable paths forward. Feeling lost can heighten awareness of external influences. You notice how societal expectations, peer pressure, and past habits affect decisions, often unconsciously. Recognizing these influences is uncomfortable, but crucial for independent thinking. Awareness allows you to filter input more effectively. Decisions begin to reflect personal goals and priorities rather than external pressures, improving autonomy. This stage also encourages selective collaboration. You choose advice and feedback from sources aligned with your objectives, reducing distractions and improving clarity. Direction returns because choices are now informed, intentional, and guided by personal values. Progress aligns with what truly matters, not what is expected. Periods of confusion often enhance emotional intelligence. Feeling lost exposes recurring emotional patterns and reactions, providing opportunities to understand triggers and improve self-regulation. By observing and adjusting emotional responses, you reduce impulsive decisions and improve interactions with others. Relationships and communication become more effective. This stage also strengthens patience and empathy. Awareness of personal emotions allows better understanding of other perspectives and improves collaborative problem solving. Direction becomes clearer because emotional regulation supports rational thinking and thoughtful decision making. You navigate challenges with balance and clarity. Feeling lost often encourages reassessment of long-term vision. Without immediate direction, you reflect on ultimate goals and aspirations, identifying what truly matters. This reflection allows you to filter distractions and focus energy on meaningful pursuits. Goals that are no longer aligned with your values are adjusted or abandoned. The stage strengthens strategic thinking. You consider potential obstacles, prepare for setbacks, and create contingency plans to ensure smoother progress. Direction stabilizes because actions are now intentionally aligned with a clarified vision. Every step moves toward long-term objectives with purpose. Periods of uncertainty often develop patience and persistence. Feeling lost tests endurance and teaches that meaningful results rarely happen instantly. You learn to maintain effort over time, focusing on incremental progress rather than immediate success. This strengthens consistency and builds resilience. The stage also improves judgment. Repeated challenges allow evaluation of choices and outcomes, refining decision-making skills for future situations. Direction returns naturally because persistence ensures steady progress. Uncertainty becomes a training ground for long-term growth, and each action is purposeful. Feeling lost often highlights inefficiencies in daily decision-making. You notice how much time is spent on minor, low-impact choices that distract from bigger goals. This realization can be uncomfortable, but is necessary for improvement. By analyzing past decisions, you learn to distinguish between urgent and important tasks. Focus shifts toward actions that produce meaningful results, improving productivity and satisfaction. This stage also strengthens prioritization. You begin planning each day intentionally, ensuring energy and attention are allocated to areas that matter most. Direction returns naturally because decisions are now guided by conscious evaluation. Progress becomes more deliberate, consistent, and aligned with your long-term objectives. Periods of uncertainty often reveal hidden adaptability. Challenges force you to consider alternative strategies and test new approaches, even those outside your comfort zone. Through repeated experimentation, flexibility becomes a strength. You learn that failure is not final, but a source of insight. And confidence grows in your ability to handle change. The stage also develops creative thinking. Problem solving requires innovative approaches, making you more resourceful and capable of navigating complex situations. Direction stabilizes, because adaptability allows forward movement despite unpredictable circumstances. Each decision is guided by experience and insight rather than fear. Feeling lost often increases awareness of mental clarity and focus. With external guidance absent, distractions fade, and you begin noticing details and patterns previously overlooked. This clarity improves decision-making. You analyze situations more carefully and choose actions that align with goals, reducing wasted effort and mistakes. The stage also promotes efficiency. Mental clarity allows better organization, prioritization, and structured planning, making progress smoother and faster. Direction returns naturally because focus and clarity guide every step. What once felt uncertain becomes structured and purposeful. Periods of confusion often strengthen emotional resilience. Feeling lost tests patience, composure, and persistence, teaching you to respond calmly under pressure. You learn to navigate setbacks without panic. Emotional regulation allows clear thinking, improves decision-making, and reduces the impact of stress on productivity. This stage also fosters self-confidence. You recognize that challenges are manageable, and that each solution builds experience, reducing fear of future uncertainty. Direction stabilizes because emotional resilience supports steady progress. Challenges become opportunities for growth rather than obstacles. Feeling lost often reveals overlooked strengths in problem solving. You are forced to approach issues creatively, test ideas, and adapt strategies in real time. Experimentation builds practical experience. Each successful solution reinforces capability, while mistakes provide valuable insight for future attempts. The stage also develops resourcefulness. You discover that effective solutions often arise from unconventional methods or hidden skills. Direction returns naturally because enhanced problem-solving abilities allow you to navigate uncertainty with confidence. Progress becomes deliberate and measurable. Periods of uncertainty often emphasize the importance of personal boundaries. You notice where energy is wasted and which commitments or relationships drain focus. By establishing limits, you protect time and attention, allowing you to prioritize what truly matters. This reduces stress and improves efficiency. This stage also strengthens autonomy. You make decisions based on personal goals rather than external pressures, improving self-reliance and confidence. Direction becomes clear because boundaries create a framework for intentional action. Energy and focus are now aligned with meaningful objectives. Feeling lost often encourages self-reflection and personal evaluation. You examine past decisions, motivations, and outcomes to identify patterns and areas for improvement. This introspection uncovers strengths and weaknesses previously unnoticed, allowing more informed choices and better future results. The stage also strengthens emotional intelligence. Understanding your reactions and triggers improves communication, relationships, and decision-making. Direction stabilizes because self-reflection provides insight into optimal choices. Actions become deliberate, purposeful, and aligned with growth. Periods of confusion often reveal hidden opportunities. When clarity is absent, obstacles force you to consider alternatives and explore paths you might have ignored. This exploration encourages experimentation and risk-taking, teaching adaptability and creative problem-solving. The stage also improves confidence. Discovering multiple ways to overcome challenges reinforces belief in your ability to handle uncertainty. Direction emerges because opportunities identified through exploration guide intentional steps. Progress becomes structured and achievable, even in ambiguous situations. Feeling lost often improves awareness of time management. You notice how tasks, distractions, and habits influence productivity, and how small changes can yield big results. Prioritizing high-impact tasks allows energy and attention to focus on meaningful objectives, reducing wasted effort and frustration. This stage also strengthens planning and sequencing. Tasks are ordered efficiently, goals are clarified, and resources are allocated strategically. Direction returns naturally because effective time management aligns action with purpose. Progress becomes consistent, measurable, and deliberate. Periods of uncertainty often foster patience and long-term perspective. Feeling lost teaches that progress is rarely instantaneous, and sustained effort is essential for meaningful results. You learn to maintain momentum despite setbacks or delays, building endurance and confidence. Each challenge becomes a learning opportunity. This stage also strengthens strategic thinking. You anticipate obstacles, prepare contingency plans, and focus on incremental progress. Direction stabilizes because patience and long-term perspective allow steady, deliberate action. Uncertainty transforms into an opportunity for growth and purposeful advancement. Feeling lost often highlights the value of reflection on past successes and failures. When direction fades, you naturally look back to identify lessons learned and recognize patterns that influenced outcomes. This process can be enlightening as it uncovers the strategies and choices that genuinely work. Reflection allows you to extract practical insights. You analyze decisions that brought progress as well as those that created setbacks. This awareness informs better strategies for the future. The stage also encourages humility and growth. Acknowledging mistakes without judgment helps you improve without dwelling on the past, turning lessons into actionable steps. Direction returns because clarity arises from understanding experience. Informed by lessons learned, your choices become purposeful and progress moves forward with intention. Periods of uncertainty often sharpen adaptability in professional and personal life. Feeling lost forces you to navigate situations without a roadmap, encouraging innovative thinking and flexibility. You begin to experiment with alternative approaches to challenges, discovering methods and solutions that were previously overlooked. These experiences build confidence and practical skills. This stage also fosters resilience under pressure. Facing unexpected circumstances repeatedly strengthens your ability to remain composed and solve problems efficiently. Direction emerges naturally because adaptability allows you to navigate unknown paths. You gain the confidence to move forward regardless of immediate clarity or certainty. Feeling lost often reveals gaps in knowledge or skills. When you face unfamiliar challenges, you notice areas requiring improvement or development. Recognizing these gaps is uncomfortable but necessary for growth. By actively seeking learning opportunities, whether through reading, courses, or practical experience, you acquire tools that improve competence and confidence. This stage also strengthens curiosity and initiative. Motivation grows to explore, experiment, and apply newly acquired knowledge effectively. Direction returns because acquired skills and knowledge provide the confidence to act. What once felt overwhelming becomes manageable with preparation and understanding. Periods of confusion often highlight the importance of resource management. Feeling lost reveals where energy, time, and focus are spent inefficiently. Awareness of this helps redirect effort toward activities that create meaningful results. You begin to plan and allocate resources strategically. Prioritization ensures that high-impact tasks receive attention, while low-value activities are minimized. This stage also develops foresight. Anticipating how time and energy should be used prepares you for upcoming challenges and reduces wasted effort. Direction stabilizes because effective resource management allows consistent, intentional progress. Every action aligns with priorities, creating forward momentum. Feeling lost often strengthens problem anticipation. When immediate solutions are unclear, you begin identifying potential obstacles and evaluating their impact before they occur. You learn to create proactive strategies, develop contingency plans, and consider multiple approaches to ensure flexibility. This stage also improves analytical thinking. By studying patterns and predicting challenges, you reduce surprises and make informed, confident decisions. Direction becomes clear because you are prepared for setbacks. Anticipation and planning transform uncertainty into actionable steps toward goals. Periods of uncertainty often highlight neglected personal goals. Feeling lost encourages introspection about what you truly want to achieve, separate from external expectations. This awareness allows you to realign priorities, focusing on goals that provide genuine satisfaction and growth. Time and energy are invested where they matter most. The stage also strengthens motivation. Pursuing authentic objectives increases engagement and resilience when challenges arise. Direction returns because actions now reflect personal aspirations. Progress feels intentional, and energy is focused on outcomes that matter most. Feeling lost often exposes hidden dependencies on external validation. You notice how decisions were influenced by the need for approval or fear of judgment. Recognizing this allows you to build self-trust. You begin making choices based on logic, insight, and personal priorities rather than the opinions of others. This stage also improves confidence. Independent decision-making strengthens belief in your judgment and ability to handle uncertainty. Direction stabilizes because actions are guided by internal guidance rather than external pressures. Progress becomes authentic and self-driven. Periods of confusion often enhance reflection on work-life balance. Feeling lost forces evaluation of how commitments, responsibilities, and leisure time affect productivity, energy, and mental well-being. You begin making adjustments, eliminating tasks that drain resources, and emphasizing activities that restore focus and motivation. This stage also strengthens personal boundaries. Clear limits ensure energy and attention are directed toward what matters most, improving both performance and satisfaction. Direction returns because a balanced approach creates sustainable progress. Energy, focus, and priorities are aligned, reducing stress and increasing effectiveness. Feeling lost often improves situational awareness. You notice patterns in behavior, environment, and outcomes that were previously overlooked, providing clarity on how to act effectively. This awareness encourages strategic action. Each decision is based on observation and analysis rather than assumptions or habit. The stage also strengthens foresight and judgment. By understanding trends and potential consequences, you anticipate challenges and act proactively. Direction emerges because situational awareness informs decisions. What once felt chaotic now becomes structured and manageable, creating steady forward movement. Periods of uncertainty often strengthen focus under pressure. Feeling lost challenges you to identify what is essential and prioritize tasks that yield meaningful results. You learn to filter distractions, manage attention, and maintain momentum even when clarity is limited. This stage also improves decision-making efficiency. Prioritizing high-impact actions ensures that energy is directed toward goals that matter most. Direction returns naturally because focus and prioritization align energy with purpose. Progress becomes deliberate, measurable, and consistent. Feeling lost often reveals unrecognized patterns in daily choices. You start noticing how repeated small actions shape outcomes over time. Some habits support growth, while others subtly hinder progress without your awareness. Analyzing these patterns allows you to identify which routines are productive and which are counterproductive. By consciously choosing which behaviors to continue, you regain control over your life. This stage also improves strategic thinking. Observing cause and effect relationships helps anticipate outcomes and make informed decisions that lead to long-term results. Direction returns because intentional action replaces autopilot behavior. With awareness of patterns, each step becomes deliberate, producing steady and meaningful progress. Periods of uncertainty often encourage reevaluation of personal values. Feeling lost highlights what truly matters and what was previously pursued out of habit or social expectation. This insight allows you to realign priorities with authentic desires. Tasks, commitments, and relationships that don't align with core values are adjusted or eliminated. The stage also strengthens decision-making. Choices become guided by principles rather than impulse, increasing consistency and satisfaction in outcomes. Direction emerges because actions now reflect true priorities. Energy and effort are focused on what matters, producing purposeful progress. Feeling lost often exposes reliance on comfort zones. You realize that avoiding challenges limited growth and delayed opportunities. Awareness of this discomfort motivates action. Stepping out of familiar territory encourages learning and skill development. You experiment, adapt, and gradually expand capacity for handling uncertainty. This stage also strengthens confidence. Each successful navigation outside the comfort zone builds resilience and trust in personal abilities. Direction stabilizes because challenges no longer intimidate. Growth becomes intentional, and forward movement is consistent and self-driven. Periods of confusion often uncover hidden creativity. Without predefined paths, you are forced to generate solutions and ideas that are unconventional. Experimentation becomes a tool for learning. Mistakes are reframed as feedback, allowing refinement of strategies and discovery of innovative approaches. The stage strengthens problem solving under pressure. You learn to evaluate multiple options and select solutions that maximize results. Direction returns because creativity illuminates paths that were previously unseen. Solutions emerge naturally, guiding purposeful and informed action. Feeling lost often encourages reflection on long-term vision. Immediate clarity may be absent, but the mind naturally considers ultimate goals and desired outcomes. This reflection allows you to distinguish short-term distractions from meaningful priorities, sharpening focus on objectives that matter. The stage also fosters patience and planning. You learn that incremental progress and deliberate steps create sustainable results over time. Direction emerges because clarified vision provides a roadmap. Even amidst uncertainty, actions are intentional and aligned with meaningful goals. Periods of uncertainty often highlight areas for skill improvement. Feeling lost draws attention to capabilities that are underdeveloped or unexplored. By investing in learning and practice, you build competence and confidence in these areas. Challenges become opportunities to apply new skills practically. The stage strengthens adaptability. Developing diverse skills allows you to approach problems from multiple angles, increasing resilience and efficiency. Direction stabilizes because acquired skills provide tools for effective action. Confidence in ability transforms uncertainty into manageable and actionable paths. Feeling lost often exposes mental clutter and indecision. You notice how too many competing priorities or conflicting goals create stagnation. Clearing clutter, setting clear priorities, and establishing focus restores mental clarity. Decisions become faster and more effective, reducing stress and wasted energy. This stage also strengthens consistency. Concentrated effort on high-impact goals produces tangible progress and builds momentum. Direction returns naturally because mental clarity guides choices. Focused, deliberate action replaces hesitation and confusion, producing steady forward movement. Periods of confusion often uncover the influence of limiting beliefs. Feeling lost reveals assumptions about abilities, worth, or potential that restrict progress. By identifying and challenging these beliefs, you open new possibilities for action and growth. Confidence expands as mental barriers are removed. This stage also encourages exploration and experimentation. without self-imposed limits. You try new approaches and discover strategies that previously seemed unattainable. Direction stabilizes because beliefs now support progress rather than hinder it. Empowered thinking guides intentional, actionable steps forward. Feeling lost often highlights the importance of reflection on time and priorities. You notice how tasks and obligations impact overall effectiveness and satisfaction. Prioritizing high-value actions ensures that energy is directed toward activities with meaningful outcomes. Low-value tasks are minimized or delegated. This stage also strengthens planning and resource allocation. You schedule work strategically, reducing wasted time and maximizing results. Direction returns because focused effort aligns with goals. Time and energy are concentrated on what matters, producing consistent, measurable progress. Periods of uncertainty often encourage reassessment of personal relationships. Feeling lost highlights interactions that energize versus those that drain focus or motivation. By fostering supportive connections and minimizing toxic influence, you improve emotional and mental resilience. This stage strengthens communication and boundary setting. Interactions become intentional, and energy is protected for meaningful collaboration and growth. Direction emerges naturally because relationships now support goals rather than distract. Forward movement is deliberate, balanced, and sustainable. Feeling lost often emphasizes the need for adaptability. You notice how rigid plans fail when circumstances shift, requiring flexibility to maintain progress. Learning to pivot encourages experimentation and resilience. Each adaptation builds confidence in navigating unexpected situations. This stage also strengthens problem solving. You discover multiple solutions to challenges, reducing reliance on one fixed path. Direction stabilizes because adaptability allows progress regardless of uncertainty. Flexibility turns obstacles into opportunities, creating consistent forward motion. Periods of confusion often improve awareness of personal strengths. Feeling lost prompts evaluation of abilities, resilience, and creativity that were previously overlooked. By applying these strengths to challenges, you discover hidden capacity for handling complex problems and achieving goals. The stage also encourages self-confidence. Awareness of strengths reinforces trust in decision-making and ability to manage uncertainty. Direction returns naturally because confidence and capability empower deliberate action. Challenges are navigated with clarity and purpose. Feeling lost often encourages reflection on long-term impact. You consider how current decisions shape future opportunities and outcomes. This perspective promotes intentional action. Choices are guided by potential consequences and alignment with ultimate goals. The stage also strengthens responsibility. You become more accountable for outcomes and deliberate in planning each step. Direction emerges because foresight informs strategy. Actions are purposeful, minimizing mistakes and maximizing progress toward objectives. Periods of uncertainty often highlight neglected areas of growth. Feeling lost reveals skills, habits, or knowledge that need improvement for future success. By focusing on self-development, you increase confidence, and adaptability. Challenges become learning opportunities rather than setbacks. This stage also strengthens persistence. Continuous effort toward growth builds resilience and ensures long-term progress. Direction stabilizes because personal growth provides tools and confidence to navigate uncertainty. Every step becomes actionable and intentional. Feeling lost often uncovers mental and emotional fatigue caused by overstimulation or overcommitment. Awareness of burnout is critical for restoring clarity. By setting boundaries, prioritizing rest, and focusing energy strategically, you recover mental sharpness and resilience. This stage also strengthens decision-making under calm conditions. Restored focus allows better evaluation of options and reduces impulsive errors. Direction returns naturally because energy management enables sustained progress. With restored focus, intentional action becomes consistent and effective. Periods of confusion often foster independence. Feeling lost exposes reliance on external guidance or approval, highlighting the need for self-trust. You learn to make decisions confidently based on analysis, insight, and intuition, rather than seeking constant validation. This stage also strengthens responsibility. Owning decisions and outcomes develops accountability and maturity. Direction stabilizes because independence ensures deliberate, self-directed action. You move forward with clarity and confidence. Feeling lost often highlights overlooked opportunities for personal innovation. When the path is unclear, new ideas and strategies emerge to navigate challenges. Experimenting with creative solutions strengthens problem solving, adaptability, and confidence. Failures are reframed as valuable lessons. The stage also encourages exploration beyond familiar approaches, fostering innovation and resourcefulness. Direction emerges because creative insights illuminate paths forward. Actions become deliberate, productive, and aligned with meaningful goals. Periods of uncertainty often emphasize strategic thinking. Feeling lost encourages evaluating multiple options, anticipating challenges, and planning steps carefully. By considering consequences and alternative paths, decisions become more informed, reducing wasted effort. This stage also strengthens patience. Strategic planning acknowledges that progress may be gradual, focusing on long-term success. Direction returns naturally because deliberate planning guides intentional action. Even in uncertainty, steps forward are purposeful and measurable. Feeling lost often increases self-awareness of emotional triggers. Confusion highlights how emotions influence reactions, relationships, and decisions. By identifying triggers, you gain control over responses and improve judgment, reducing impulsive or counterproductive actions. This stage also strengthens emotional intelligence. Understanding your emotions improves collaboration, communication, and decision-making. Direction stabilizes because emotional control supports rational choices. Clear, thoughtful action becomes consistent and purposeful. Periods of uncertainty often improve reflective thinking. Feeling lost encourages analyzing past choices, recognizing patterns, and planning future steps deliberately. Reflection helps identify obstacles, refine strategies, and focus on actions that yield meaningful results. This stage also strengthens patience and resilience. Understanding that progress is gradual fosters consistency and persistence. Direction emerges because thoughtful reflection transforms uncertainty into actionable steps. Every choice is intentional, producing steady and sustainable progress. Feeling lost is not a weakness. It is a signal that growth, awareness, and clarity are emerging. Each challenge, period of confusion, or uncertain step is an opportunity to learn, reflect, and refine direction. By observing patterns, evaluating priorities, and strengthening resilience, you transform uncertainty into a structured path forward. Skills, creativity, and self-awareness are sharpened, empowering deliberate action. Focus, adaptability, and intentional habits align your energy with meaningful goals. What once felt overwhelming now becomes a roadmap for progress, built step by step through thoughtful choices. Trust the process. Even when clarity seems distant, each decision, insight, and adjustment brings you closer to purposeful movement. Feeling lost is the beginning of finding the right direction, and the journey itself strengthens every aspect of your growth.